Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Naruto, the Chunin Exams Arc, Episode 27, the Chunin Exam Stage 2, the Forest of Death. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. So the episode begins where the last one left off, before the filler episode, where everybody's gathered at the entrance to the Forest of Death. Naruto mocks Anko, who then gets offended and decides to cut his cheek with a kunai before coming over and, talking about how pretty his blood is and, using her finger to wipe up some of the blood. And then a creepy person comes over and brings her the kunai that she threw, and it starts like that. But after that little bit of drama, we then get Anko revealing what the contents of the second exam will be. Basically, there's 44 gates. Every team will get to go in through one of the gates, and essentially the exam is designed to have a minimum of half of them pass, or no, a maximum of half of them pass. As far as how many actually pass, that's dependent on the way that they navigate the Forest of Death. They essentially have 5 days. Each team is given either a heaven or an earth scroll. In order to succeed in the exam, they have to make it within 5 days to the center tower of the training grounds with both scrolls, and therefore they have to take out a team that has the opposite scroll to them, but of course they can take out more teams than that. They are not allowed to look at the contents of the scrolls until they reach the tower. This is to test whether they are able to keep information secret, because sometimes shinobi have to transport confidential documents from one place to another, and they want to make sure that they're not going to give into temptation and look at the contents of the secret scroll. So 5 days, make it to the center of the tower. The entire team has to make it there, so they're disqualified if they don't make it to the tower in 5 days, if they don't have both scrolls, or if one of their team members is incapacitated and or killed. And we then see each of the teams that are important to us as the viewers. So all of the rookie teams from Konoha, the Sand siblings, Kabuto's team, because we met him at the start of the first exam, and even the Sound team and the one, I think it's a grass team with a disguised Orochimaru, that's a spoiler by the way, on the team. And then we see them entering the forest and their initial encounters and some initial meetings that are going to turn into battles later. For example, Naruto's team, since we'll focus on them as the main characters, they get so far into the Forest of Death before Naruto decides he needs to go to the bathroom, and while he's in the bathroom, somebody decides to impersonate him, and Sasuke notices immediately because the cut on his cheek is gone and his weapons holster is on the wrong side, like the wrong leg from what he usually keeps it at. Sakura did not notice at all. Um, but that's the cliffhanger where we leave this episode, is them being confronted, Sasuke figuring out it's a fake, the fake revealing himself, and then basically saying, "Give me your scroll or I will kill you." Um, we also had, another one of note was Shino, Kiba, and Hinata. They managed to set a trap by utilizing flying leeches that drop down from trees onto their enemies and then, suck their blood so that they weaken their enemy so that they can take their scroll, which was very clever. The rest of the teams, it's mostly just them like running through the woods or maybe having that initial encounter. Apart from those two things, I don't think there was much of note for the start, because this really was, just starting the exam. The actual action and main events will occur in the future episodes. However, now that we've been reminded about what happened in the episode, it is time to rank the episode. first on the mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. And we start with our multi-arc main character development. Team 7 was given a Heaven Scroll. We don't know what kind of scrolls the other Genin team were given. We only were told what Team 7 got. That's 4 points. Then we, of course, have the world building piece. We have the second exam. The rules are given. I think I forgot to say this in the summary. They were given waivers to sign because obviously this exam could potentially be deadly for them. So they have to kind of sign away their life or any repercussions for the loss of their life, and any injuries that they may get. And then we see like the rules for how to pass the exam and what will disqualify you from the exam being given. We also, while everybody separates to sign the waivers or is waiting at the gates, we hear some internal monologues about what they believe the purpose of the exam is and how they feel about the exams, etc. Also worth 4 points, bringing us to 8 points. However, I did think that there were a couple negatives for this episode. First one is at the very start, Naruto mocks Anko and the exam as a way to hide that he may be afraid of it, to kind of, like when someone protests too much, there usually is a reason for that. Uh, Anyways, I just think I think it was meant to be funny, but I didn't find it funny. And I don't think it's right to mock authority figures, even if you are hiding the fact that you're probably terrified of the fact that you might die in this exam, and are therefore very loudly proclaiming yourself not to be afraid. But I think he went about it in I don't think he had to mock her just to yell that he's not scared of it. And then, of course, there's Anko's response to that, which is harassing and injuring a student. So first she injures him by, cutting his face open with a kunai. And then she follows it up by kind of harassing him by like grabbing him from behind and then like running her finger through his blood and talking about how much she loves red blood and all that. Um, I don't know. I didn't like that opening scene, and I think they both kind of did not come off looking good, at least to me personally. And while the objective ranking list is meant to be objective, it's only mostly objective because bias and judgment can apply, and my bias towards this kind of behavior leads to the judgment that it was negative and I did not like it. So I did take 2 points each for that, which brings this episode down to a 4 out of 10 on our mostly objective ranking. So we come to our mostly objective ranking list. And in first, we have Identify Yourself, Powerful New Rivals, the 10th question, All or Nothing, A New Chapter Begins, the Chunin Exam, Chunin Challenge, Rock Lee versus Sasuke, Genin Takedown, All 9 Rookies Face Off, Start Your Engines, the Chunin Exam Begins. This episode is in 7th place, which is the Chunin Exams Stage 2, the Forest of Death, and then in 8th place so far, we have Special Report live from the Forest of Death. My personal ranking for this episode, I did overall enjoy it. We got our explanation for the second exam, so they don't have to hopefully repeat that information during all of the action that's happening in the future. And, we are aware of what's happening, what the goal is, and how long they have, etc., etc. Then we, of course, get a little bit of a sneak peek at all of the teams and how they're reacting to the waivers, and then how they're reacting at the gates, and then their initial encounters. So we are spreading out and looking at some of the other characters that are important to the series, which is what I was kind of hoping they would do in the last episode, is give us a little bit of even just like a one-liner from some of the other characters to, give us their thoughts, which this episode they did do that, so I appreciated it. But again, it did feel like to me while I was watching, we did get some action with those initial encounters, and we got to know some of the characters more, but it was very much feeling like we are setting up for all of the action still to come, so we know that there is more to come, and that is why I decided to be conservative with the ranking and give it an 8 out of 10, because I really enjoyed the episode, but obviously there's more action and more interesting things still to come, so I didn't feel like I wanted to give it a 9 or a 10 for that reason. Which ultimately brings us to the personal ranking list, where in first we have Chunin Challenge, Rock Lee versus Sasuke, A New Chapter Begins, the Chunin Exam, The tuning exam stage 2, the Forest of Death, which is this episode, is in 3rd place. And then we have Identify Yourself, Powerful New Rivals. Getting Takedown, all 9 rookies face off. The 10th question, All or Nothing. Start Your Engines, the tuning exam begins. And then in 8th place for me as well is the special report, Live from the Forest of Death. Which now brings us to our mostly objective ranking, and of course the first prologue / Land of Waves arc is still in 1st place. And then on our mostly objective ranking, the tuning exam arc has 55 out of 480 so far, and the personal ranking has a 50 out of 480 so far. But with that, we have now rewatched and ranked Naruto Tuning Exam Arc, Episode 27, the Tuning Exam Stage 2, The Forest of Death. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.